In the news this week, Indigenous advocates call for income-sized fines as WA Attorney-General overhauls enforcement for fine defaulters.
State government cashing in on a $1.3 billion surplus, but there is no hope for reduction in household costs.
26 young Western Australians charged with drug offences following police operation targeting entertainment precincts.
And Hong Kong Chief Executive's first public discussion conference session hoping to curb citizen anger.
This is the Evening News with Ivan Leung and Danielle Staniscott.
Good evening. Indigenous advocates have demanded fines be more comparable to income as the state government makes jail for fine defaulters a last resort under new reforms. The move was triggered following the death in custody incident of Aboriginal woman Miss Dew due to unpaid fines. Nelson Liu reports.
Protests of anger 5 years ago, furious at an Aboriginal death in custody in WA. It's prompted reforms to fines enforcement, but Indigenous advocates say it's not enough.
There was a huge problem.
Outrage was sparked when Ms Dew died in a South Hedland prison from untreated domestic violence injuries after her arrest for unpaid fines. The state government this week changed laws to limit jail for fines to a last resort in favour of garnishing income while reducing Aboriginal prisoner numbers.
We are endeavouring to separate out those who can pay but just will not pay.
But advocates say too many face jail for fines. They're calling for more changes.
We need to make sure that no one is jailed for being poor. We must follow the Scandinavian model where fines are income-sized according to income bracket.
In the meantime, advocates want the laws passed quickly. The Attorney-General says it's tragic that Miss Dew's case was the catalyst for the law change, but Jerry says it's only the first step. Nelson Liu, WAMN News.
WA Treasurer Ben Wyatt has confirmed the state government's first budget surplus in 5 years due to lower government expenditure, higher iron ore prices and a $250 million one-off settlement with mining giant BHP. But for Western Australians who are hoping for a reduction in household costs, the answer is unlikely. Shipsway has more.
Despite the WA state government reporting a budget surplus of $1.3 billion, it is unlikely that household costs such as power will go down. State Treasurer Ben Wyatt has said that electricity prices are already kept to the lowest in 13 years and is unlikely to go down as everything has a cost.
Even to keep power prices low, you are seeing a very large cost to the taxpayer. $300 million to keep it to the lowest increase in 13 years. If you want to decrease that even further, you've got to write a bigger cheque.
Opposition Shadow Treasurer Dean Nalder has accused the government of not doing enough as cost of living has actually increased under the McGowan government.
So we saw 19% increases in household charges, which were way above what was in the forward estimates. And I think they were thinking politically, do it early and go softer later, but it actually created a lot of unnecessary pain in households in Western Australia.
He added that the state government has failed to meet the jobs target since the 2017 state election. Shipsway, WAMN News.
26 young Western Australians have been charged with 103 offences after a WA police operation targeting illicit drugs in Perth and Northbridge. The 18 to 28-year-olds were arrested during Operation Observant with MDMA, cannabis, methamphetamine, cocaine, LSD, psilocybin mushrooms, $23,000 in cash and weapons seized. WA Police says their operation is ongoing with both users and licensed venues on notice.
WA Police conducted this operation to ensure that people who are frequenting the clubs aren't approached or peddle drugs whilst they're in there. The message is, if you're thinking about doing this, look over your shoulder because we'll catch you.
WA drink and drug drivers could be hit with bans and bigger fines under new reforms, highlighting the risk of driving under the influence. Drug-affected drivers will be hit with an instant 24-hour roadside ban, increased fines for standalone and combined drink and drug driving, higher fines and licence disqualification. The state government says the reforms are well overdue.
I'm not interested in any talk of revenue raising because there's a simple message here. Don't drink and drive, don't use drugs and drive. If you're going to drink, you want to go and enjoy yourself, that's fine. Just don't get in a vehicle.
Drivers are advised to keep safety in mind this long weekend. Obey the road rules, and if you drink, don't drive, as double demerits are in place until late night on Monday. It's understood that 3 people have lost their lives on WA roads over the Queen's birthday long weekend every year between 2014 and 2018. In the first 9 months of this year, 130 people have been killed in crashes across WA, with almost 69% on regional roads.
I implore you, please take care. Pay attention to the condition of the road, the speed you're travelling, and of course all other risks and dangers that can come across driving a vehicle. I particularly want to pay emphasis on those that are driving long distances in the country.
After months of dispute, the Hong Kong government is finally willing to hold meetings with the public, hoping to reduce anger caused by the controversial extradition bill. 150 citizens attended the Q&A session with Chief Executive Carrie Lam and Cabinet Ministers, which was broadcasted live on social media. In her opening speech, Mrs. Lam says the aim of the conference is not a PR tactic, but to seek genuine change for Hong Kong. French President Emmanuel Macron paid tribute to the late former President Jacques Chirac after he passed away peacefully at the age of 86. Mr. Macron praised Mr. Chirac as a great leader who brought France forward as a nation and uniting different opinions among citizens. It's understood that lights at the Eiffel Tower in Paris have been switched off to commemorate Mr. Chirac's passing.
Imagine being torn apart by the strongest force in the universe. You can now see what it looks like as, for the first time, NASA's planet-hunting Transiting Exosurvey satellite, or TESS, witnessed a black hole tear apart a star in a cataclysmic phenomenon called tidal disruption event. Tidal disruptions are incredibly rare events, occurring once every 10,000 to 100,000 years in a galaxy the size of our own Milky Way. Earlier this year in April, astronomers also photographed a black hole for the first time in history.
And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have all the latest news on our website and Facebook page.
We'll be back after a 2-week break. Until then, thanks for watching, thanks for calling in. Good evening.
Good night.